Welcome to this brand new channel. This is the first video, first installment, and this channel is called iHonkyTonk Vinyl. It's a spin-off of my other channel, iHonkyTonk. Today is April 19th, and this is Record Store Day. This is Record Store Day weekend. This is the 19th annual Record Store Day happening this weekend. It just finished up yesterday, still going on in some places of the world. I'm in northern Thailand is where I'm at, so we're a bit ahead of the West over here. And I did not really celebrate Record Store Day this year on site because there are no record stores in the city where I live. Although vinyl records are thriving in Thailand, there's a big online community, buying, selling, trading on Facebook, and there are plenty of record shops in Chiang Mai and in Bangkok. Here is the channel. Here's the big bad channel here. You can see we got the 1 subscriber right now, and you can read the bio. This is what this channel is all about, so I'll just put it out there as a mission statement. We're exploring all things buying, selling, investing, market trends, and other nerdy shit about vinyl records, CDs, and cassettes in that order. This is not an audiophile channel, but we'll highlight all genres, including classical, with a focus on the ultra niche market of country bluegrass collectibles. And this channel, iHonkyTonk Vinyl Collector Artist Seller, it's an homage to Chris Sewell, the baseball card collecting, dealing, investing YouTuber who has a wonderful channel which is really kind of bare bones videos that are information dense. So that's the format and the style that I'm going to use on this channel. I'm going to show you a little interesting information about Record Store Day and some of the most valuable Record Store Day releases of all time. And then I'm going to show you some of the records that arrived here today, some of the other records that I've picked up in the last week. And yeah, let's jump right into it. So yeah, Record Store Day started back in 2008. And the first big event was when Metallica appeared at Rasputin Music in Berkeley. You can see a picture of it here. This was the big event that really brought in Record Store Day. And after that, it really caught on. Of course, Metallica is the right band to do that. They were big against Napster and LimeWire and all that back in the day. So they came out in full support of keeping vinyl alive. And so one of the things that happened in the industry after the industry got up and going again after a lull between 1992 and 2002, when records were really at an all-time low, Record Store Day releases became a thing. The labels got into. So Discogs put out this this article here last week, and they're basically talking about the most valuable Record Store Day releases of all time. So when you see there's going to be prices here, like we see this John Lennon record, Give Me Some Truth. This is not just any John Lennon record, right? This is a record that was made by his record label specifically as a Record Store Day release. So it appeared in record shops on Record Store Day. That was the day that it was released, that it debuted. And usually these are kind of collector edition releases that often have a limited count, right? So there's only maybe 1,000 made, maybe 2,000, maybe 500 in some cases, which actually makes them kind of valuable and can make them quite collectible. So when you see this price here, for example, sold for $752, what Discogs is saying is that this record sold at one time on Discogs for $752 US. And if we click on the record, we will see that, yeah, most of the, if you look above my head here, you can see that most of the sales are not that high. But yeah, this record does get a median price of around $350. And, but yeah, you can see that there's actually 324 people that have the record and just under 200 looking for it. So it's not really a record that is like in crazy, crazy demand. And there's obviously still lots of supply of it, but nonetheless, it's a strong selling record. And so I'm just going to hand pick a couple of releases that are kind of interesting and might be of interest to people that I think will be watching this channel. We've got Bill Evans, Some Other Time, and that came out on Landmark Records, sold for $800 at one point. It's a two-disc release. This is kind of interesting. This Beck album, I believe, was just 1,000 copies. Now, Beck is a big, big artist and has a huge following. And this is also a two-disc release. We can see down here it says that it's just 1,000 copies, hand-numbered copies. And you can see just above my head here, yeah, this record is a big seller, and it's got a very low supply and a huge demand, huge want to have ratio. So pretty cool album if you can get it. I don't know if anybody here has a Record Store Day release in their collection. I have just two, which I'm going to show you as soon as we wrap this up. We've got U2 over here on the right side of the screen as well. You can see U2 album that came out, but this one's really quite interesting to me. This is Typo Negative. You guys know Typo Negative. Peter Steele died back in, I think, 2010. But yeah, Gothic kind of metal band. I definitely very familiar with them. I was a big metalhead for a big part of my life. And look at this record. I mean, this is just like a very, very strong selling, very collectible record. I did not actually know that Typo Negative was this collectible. Of course, this is like a 4 or 5 disc record, so you know it's quite an outstanding collectible. 1,000 releases, came out on double green vinyl and green translucent vinyl. It looks like there were. It kind of looks like there were 7 or 8 pressings of it. That's a bit confusing. I don't really know how to explain that. But Typo Negative making the top 25 at number 10, in fact. We got a Paul McCartney album here. Came out in 2015. And then you'll see over to the right, you're going to see Taylor Swift here. And I checked this out. We're at the number 5 spot here. And this is just kind of unbelievable. But Taylor Swift, Speak Now. Number 5, which is actually tied for the other number 5 spot, which is Taylor Swift Red. Number 4, Taylor Swift Fearless. Yeah. Taylor Swift debut album. I remember this record. I don't remember what year it came out, but I did do a show with her one time in 2008 up in Canada. I played a 45-minute set, then one other performer came on, and then Taylor Swift. So I can kind of say I opened for Taylor Swift, and it was about 8 or 10,000 people at the event. I mean, she was huge then. She was 18, but I remember this album quite well. I recorded at Quad Studios in Nashville, which I believe is where they tracked some of this record, because there's a big picture of this record, like a platinum plaque of this record with a platinum record on it in that studio. Of course, that studio probably long gone now. Now, number 2, we finally have a non-Taylor Swift release in the top 5. It is Boards of Canada, the Great Boards of Canada, Scottish group, not to be mistaken for a Canadian duo. But yeah, this is one of the first IDM bands that I was introduced to just in high school, actually in university. Boards of Canada, what were some of the other bands? Square Pusher, Bonobo, bands like that. I had a friend that was really into this stuff, and Boards of Canada cracking the number 2 spot with a record that is just, it's probably just like, yeah, you can see the reason here. There are only 4 copies of the record, so 6 in existence. So there's your supply and demand, right? That's what gives us the formula for a very sought after, valuable record. You can see it's only ever sold once on Discogs. I mean, less than 10 copies. That makes sense. Sold back in 2021. So in the peak, the boom of the hobby during the COVID years, $2,500 sale on that record, but not a record that's selling very often, of course. And then the number 1 spot, if I remember correctly, we're going back to our girl Taylor Swift here. Country music taking the top 5. Whenever I tell you on this channel that country music, country records are not collectible, not valuable, that's mostly true. But if we consider Taylor Swift a country artist, country is probably actually the most valuable genre of records, as we can see right here. Number one record, 1989, Taylor Swift. That record came out in 2018, I think, wasn't it? Let's click on it and just see what kind of money this is selling for. What's the deal here? This is a crystal clear and pink, translucent, and 5,000 copies. So Boards of Canada at the number 2 spot. I know you probably can't read that. Number 2 spot with a record that had 4 copies. Well, this one has 5,000 copies, and it still beat it as being more sought after. 3,750 individually numbered copies in the US, 1,250 copies in Europe. And yeah, for fans of Taylor Swift, that's pretty rare. You can see just above my head here, we have, these are the numbers. Pretty huge breakdown. Want to have. What was the total? So yeah, it sells for a median price around $1,200, and it's sold as high as almost $3,000 one time, just putting it in the number 1 spot. And it's last sold on March 1st, 2026. You can see that it's sold 4 times this year. Mint copies selling, sealed copies selling. It looks like it's sold about 10 times last year. So this is a record that sells once a month. You can see it really peaked in 2024. But those are the top 10 record store day sales of all time on Discogs. So I'll show you a couple of the records, just a couple of the records I picked up in the last week. This one here is a record I actually have never owned and never listened to. This is, I mean, where's the best place to put it? I guess right here is fine. This is Warren Zevon, Excitable Boy. This is a very nice copy edition of this. This is just a US pressing on Asylum Records. This is really quite interesting, this one. This is a pretty obscure pressing. It's The Power and the Passion, Midnight Oil on one side. On the other side is, so essentially this is like a 2-song split, 45 is what it is. Don't Want to Dance by Eddie Grant, which is like one of my favorite songs. And so what they have is just basically a full 12-inch, 45 RPM release. This would have been made for radio and for record stores, so very appropriate for record store day. And they've got, you can see the Japanese artwork for the original 7-inch 45 on each side as well, making it really a pretty cool pressing altogether. It's on Epic Records. And the nicest record I got in the last week or so, picked this up, got this on my birthday actually, 8-Ball and MJG. This is the first ever pressing of this G-Funk classic from 1999 from Houston. Suave House Records in Houston, Texas. This has never been pressed full length on record before. This is out of a outfit called HCR Records in France that put this out. This is allegedly just 500 copies were made of this, and it's a 2-disc. There's no printed inner sleeve or inserts or anything with it, but it is a pretty nice package all in all. And yeah, it's probably my favorite hip hop record of all time. So pretty psyched to pick that up. It just came out last month, so this is hot off the press in the vinyl world and vinyl community. Here's a couple of record store day releases that I have, just 2. The first one is a very cool record, Chet Atkins, My Brother Sings. Chet Atkins and his brother Jim. It was originally a living stereo. Big story behind this record, which I'll share someday in a full-length video. That's on Sundazed Records. Came out Record Store Day 2015. And the other one I have is, you're never going to see anything like this again. This is Ice Nine Kills from Massachusetts. They're I don't really know what to call them. Kind of like a metalcore band. And yeah, this thing spins and looks like a blade full of blood. This is called Killer Cuts. It says for psychos only on Fearless Records. 3 songs on each side. You have to be really careful when you put this. If you have an automatic turntable, you have to be very careful to set this because it's actually just the 10-inch point is where the record starts. So if you have an automatic turntable, it's going to start it back here at the 12-inch diameter. You're gonna kill your record player for sure. With that Record Store Day release, I don't remember what year that was. A couple other things of interest. Didn't pick this up recently, but this is what I've been listening to this weekend. My favorite things. It's a late 70s US pressing of my favorite things in pretty nice shape on Atlantic. This is the disc face for it. And pretty classic album. I think that's one of the most all-time sought-after albums, actually. One of the most collected records of all time. And here's one of the least collected records of all time. And I'm serious about that. I know this for a fact because, yeah, I'm sure. This is the one and only 12-inch vinyl pressing that I ever made of my music when I was touring and traveling. That came out in 2023, and that was just 100 copies. And believe me, that is definitely not sought after. So now I'm going to show you a couple of things that just came in the mail today. I think there's like about 4 records here. And I don't know if people still do unboxings, but I took the box off in advance. I don't think anybody really wants to see me open a box. So this is kind of like an unwrapping. This first record here is Coro George Fuel album. Pretty cool artwork on the front. Everybody thinking about the cost of fuel right now in across the world. Well, this is the Fuel album by Coro George. It's a pretty collectible record. This is a record that I picked up as a medium to long-term investment for selling in my online shop. Here's another one for the same purposes. Now, this is a really quite a scarce pressing of Slade. This is the only Japanese pressing of Play It Loud. You can see the alternate artwork here. Now, it is missing the obi strip, though I'm getting pretty good at making replica obis, so I might be able to include a free custom obi to go with it of this exact pressing, but a very scarce record which is quite wanted, and we just gonna find out what the condition of is the record, because when I buy these records here in Thailand, I get pretty good deals on these records. They're coming from a warehouse in Bangkok, but the catch to buying these records, part of this formula is that they're ungraded. So you have a picture of the sleeve, and they usually will show you a picture of the disc face, so you can check for spindle marks on the disc. Of course, you can't tell about scratches on a picture. So it's kind of like you just have to make the most educated guess you can about the condition and kind of take a gamble on it. Now, if a record arrives and it's totally trashed, I will send it back. And because I'm a pretty big customer of theirs now, I'm able to get away with that. But definitely keeps it interesting. This is one for my personal collection. This is Bob Wills and Tommy Duncan together again. I think it's a record that sounds pretty good. Texas Playboys. And I'm doing an episode for the iHonkyTonk channel coming up. It's going to be the steel guitar sounds of Bob Wills. I'm going to try and take on the entire roster of steel players that have played with him. It's on Liberty Records. We have 2 left. Far Side. It's a 12-inch single, Passing Me By. Somewhat collectible record. Becoming more and more collectible in the last 2 years. And this is one that is probably for my personal collection. This is pretty cool. This is the soundtrack to Phenomena, Dario Argento's Phenomena. This is Goblin, the great Goblin soundtrack music, Italian soundtrack music for horror films, cult horror films, cult Italian horror films, and very, very cool. I think this pressing is from, well, it says Paris on the back, so I guess this is a French pressing, but I thought maybe it was, anyway, I can't recall. It's on Polydor, and it would be, and there was no obi that came with this because it's not a Japanese pressing. So I think it looks pretty nice. What do you think? It looks like, I'd say it's a VG Plus sleeve for sure. So hopefully the inside, hopefully the disc is VG Plus or better as well. So I'm actually wondering if anybody out there, has any record store day releases, and if you have any record store day stories or things that you'd like to share, you can put it in the comments, or you can email me, ryan@ryancook.ca. And for this channel going forward, I will be discussing the comments, channel comments. Like if you have a question, I will discuss it in the next video that I make. I will actually answer your question like on air, so to speak. So you can, if you have an interesting story that you'd like to share, I'd be happy to tell it on the channel as well. You can send me an email and a picture. And yeah, that's also very cool because I'm just trying to participate here in, the vinyl community, in trying to participate in my own way in the vinyl community here in a way that's hopefully sort of original, fresh, and offering some different types of information that you can't just find on other channels. So take care, and thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time for video number 2 on this amazing new channel, iHonkyTonk Vinyl.